Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Anything But Hold'em. Today we're getting set for the fixed limit Badugi in the weekly round 2 tournament. Now this one is interesting because we've showed a couple of astronomer free rolls on this stream over the past couple of days as an excellent way to get introduced to games other than Hold'em. And in those astronomer free rolls, we've always been playing towards a ticket at the end of the tournament. Well, today we get to play in the tournament that ticket is for. This is the weekly round 2. This is the tournament that you win a ticket for when you place in one of the astronomer free rolls. And this one is for real cash. There's $2,000 in the prize pool, and we will be getting a piece of that if we manage to place in the cash. So it is a fixed limit Badugi tournament, as I said. We played one of those a while back. I think it was a $2.20 fixed limit Badugi that we played on our Badugi day a couple of days ago. If memory serves, we didn't cash in that one. If memory serves, we won a ticket in the free roll Badugi that we were playing that day, but we did not cash in the fixed limit cash Badugi. But we'll see how things go today. Badugi is one of the games that I quite enjoy and think that I have a reasonable edge in as well. It hasn't quite started up yet. That's why you're not seeing anything. That's why you're not seeing a table showing up on the screen yet, or a lobby, but it will be starting at noon, so the table should be popping up here shortly my time. It was about 4 minutes from the start of the video when the table should be live, and we should be starting with cards in the air, virtual cards in the virtual air, I guess. Alrighty, we're starting to get our tournament popped up. So that is our weekly round 2 a fixed limit Badugi tournament. Let's get our make sure our lobby is all set properly here. Alrighty, there we go. That is the... We're going to have to play this hand, I think. Discard 1. The 6 of spades doesn't do us much good, so we're going to get rid of that guy again when it comes around to our draw again. I think we're going to keep betting into this pot for the most part, obviously depending on the rest of the action. But 7-4-3 is a pretty strong 3 card. It's not a super strong 3 card. It's not like a it's not like a Godzilla-sized monster 3 card. But it's a decent 3 card nonetheless, and it's worth valuing slightly to put some money into the pot. There's 10 minutes of late reg on this guy, so we'll have a look at the totals numbers-wise once the reg closes here in a few minutes. We're probably pretty close to the total number that we're going to get in this one, but we'll see what happens. You know, like I say, it's only 10-minute late reg, and pretty much everybody that's going to be in this one has already regged, most likely. These ones are usually not a walk in the park, for the record. They're usually pretty tough competition. The people that that go into these games, I'm guessing that there's a significant percentage of people in the tournament today that have been sitting around with a ticket waiting for a Badugi tournament to pop up on the rotation just so that they could jump in and play because they think that they've got an edge in Badugi. In some ways, I'm one of those people because Badugi is one of the ones that I jump on when I see it. Stud High Low is obviously another one that I jump on when I see it, things like that. Okay, with Valq padding and with us having not drawn into a 4 card here, we can't continue with the hand anymore. Not that we have any draws left, but we're not putting any money in this pot. We're not calling this. There's no reason for us to believe that a 3 card is any good with Valq padding on the previous round. Obviously, that could be designed to snow us padding there, but you know, at this stage of the game, you gotta presume that Valq has some sort of a 4 card if they're gonna pat on the final round like that. Alrighty, so we're gonna come in for a call on this. We're not gonna get rid of our queen. We're gonna get rid of our ace of clubs because we've got a deuce of clubs. That's a very good club card. The ace matches our ace of spades. This gives us a 3 card that is, of course, crappy with the queen up top, but a 2 card that's awesome. So depending on how we draw out over the next two draws, we will see how it continues and or we don't. We're definitely calling here. We're not capping or we're not closing the betting here, but there's no reason to believe that SM USA is gonna raise anymore. So it's essentially closing the betting when we call there. So we're going to discard our ace of clubs and we're going to see what we get back there. Ace of diamonds does not do us any good, obviously, because it matches the ace of spades. So we're going to have to keep our queen and get rid of our ace of diamonds. I think we're going to stay in the pot for one more draw at least. These are still small bets. Of course, this being a limit game, there's the small and the big bet. So in the next round, we'll be betting 40 instead of 20. So at least for this round, in the small bet round, I can probably afford to stay in for one more round, toss my ace of diamonds, and see what happens. If I get a lower diamond, or if I get a heart that's like a 4, 5, 6, 7 range, I'm probably going to continue in the big bet round as well. But the other thing, if I get a low diamond, like a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 diamond, I'll toss the queen. I'll continue and toss the queen. The Jack of Hearts. What that probably means, now that I've got a 4 card Badugi that could very well be good. Nobody else is padding, which means nobody else has developed a 4 card yet in theory. So what we're going to do here, even though we're in the big bet round, we're going to call. We're gonna stay in the hand. We're going to call back, and we're going to pat our final draw and see how that ends up going. Now, with the way that this is raising out, actually, my guess is that one or the other of Dag Dag or Valq is going to pat this round. I obviously don't know that for sure, but I think it's a guess. And I think if I put money in and pat, I'm just tossing. I'm just lighting money on fire at this point. So I really think folding out there was the best bet with all this action going on here. I got to think that one of these 3 players is patting with a 4 card that's going to be better than a Queen Jack 4 card. That's my logic here. I can't imagine this situation of big bet round being capped without somebody already being on a 4 card that's better than a Queen Jack. Seems quite remarkable to me if that was the case. Got a couple of viewers and listeners. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Anything But Hold'em, folks. We're as the title says, we are playing the weekly round 2 of fixed limit Badugi. This is the tournament that you win a ticket to when you win one of the Astronomer free rolls that we played other times in the week. This is interesting. We're actually on the hand that is still being played now. I may have to bump the stream length up here at some point if we get a bunch of viewers, because the stream seems to have caught up with the end of the hand that we're playing. So let's have a look at how that worked out. Right, so we had SM USA and Dag both padding in that hand. Val Q drawing one card. We saw the hand that Dag won the pot with, and it was a very good hand. So that kind of justifies the rationale of the Queen Jack there. I mean, yes, I've got a 4-card Badugi, but when the betting is going like that, as I said, I can't imagine it not going pat with at least one of those players and having a stronger 4-card than a Queen Jack. Say hello on chat if you're listening and watching. Let me know. Let me know what's up. I'm glad to have people checking the show out. Badugi's one of the games that I enjoy the most. Truthfully, out of poker, just because it is a completely different mindset to sort of traditional poker, I guess you'd say, where you're trying to make poker hands like full houses and trips and sets and things like that. I guess trips and sets are the same thing, but you know what I mean. So what I love about Badugi is that you're just reversing all that philosophy. First of all, you're not looking for any sort of poker hand. You're looking for the lowest 4 cards you can get without duplicating a card. And also, as complete opposite from poker, you're looking for a rainbow board instead of a suited board. So it really does make you kind of flip your brain over 180 degrees to think about things in a new way, and I find it's a great way of cleansing the poker palette after getting burnt out on poker. You can come over and play some Badugi, and just it's like flipping, it's like cleansing the palette. So we've come into a Queen 10 Badugi here. Not the strongest Badugi in the world. As we've seen, you can certainly have stronger 4-card Badugis than that. What we're probably going to do is, we're getting a free thing here, so we're going to pat. We're going to see what the draws and what the betting pattern in the next round is, and we're going to determine the strength of our hand from there. So Dag patted as well. We actually can find out what he had on the last hand. If we have a look at what he mucked. Dag mucked a queen, a king-queen. So Dag was actually worse than us in the last hand. He checked, we checked. We're going to stay in for one more round, I think. And just see again how the drawing and the betting goes. And we're going to pat again for our final draw. So Dag patted and folded. So we're probably thinking he was on another bad one. Everybody else, except for Val Q, We saw Valkyrie do this last. No, actually, Valkyrie drew on the last hand. Um, Again, it's hard to imagine that Valkyrie padded last round with worse than a queen. Worse than a queen 10. If I had like a queen 5, I might even consider. Playing this one, frankly, because a queen 5 at least would be a relatively strong queen, if you get my drift. But a queen 10 is a weak queen at best, and a queen, of course, is a weak hand. So this is one of those sucky situations in Badugi where you have to throw away a rainbow hand because you've got a couple of paired cards. And it's just sort of a coin toss as to whether you decide to throw the diamonds or the spades in this case. I don't really think there's any logical way to work out which one is the right one to draw. It's just going to be a feel game whether you think that you're going to get a spade back or whether you think you're going to get a diamond back, or which one you think is going to be the better deal. You're obviously not going anywhere with a 9-4 deuce 4 card or 3 card. I mean, so I think we're going to get rid of diamonds and see what happens this time. We got back a smaller diamond, so that was we were rewarded for that. At this point, we're putting money in the pot and padding, and we're being pretty comfortable in that action. We're expecting to win the hand most of the time, I think, with a 96, even with a 1-2 and a 1 draw pattern like that. I think we're still expecting to win. We know that nobody else had a 4 card on that round. We'll see on this one. So SM-USA is padded. I'm not terribly, 96 is still fairly strong at this point. It's obviously not one of the best. Obviously 85 is better than a 96. But I still think putting money in the pot was the right move there with us. There's no reason to assume that SM-USA is going to draw out on us like that all the time. And in fact, not even most of the time. This is a 5-6-8 3 card, so it's probably worth getting involved with. We just saw SM-USA take down a pot with the 85, so the 86 isn't a terrible hand to be going with. So we've just drawn into a 98. Again, we're sort of in the same situation as we were last time, although it's a slightly weaker 9 than we have. I don't think we're gonna dump a bunch of chips into the pot this time. Looks like Vavik is doing the betting for us at this point. We're gonna see what Vavik is doing. I think we're gonna pat this. I don't think we can profitably draw any of these cards really at this point when we've got a 4 card. We pretty much have to stick with it when you've got a 4 card and then decide whether it's strong enough or not to go. If you start drawing to your 4 card, you're almost certainly going to end up with a 3. So Valky's padding again. I was pretty confident with that call. I was confident with the way that it went against SM-USA. I mean, he did end up drawing out against us, but that's going to happen from time to time. But I mean, I still think we're pretty strong in that situation, and I think we're pretty strong in the 98 situation as well, although not as strong. So we're almost back up to start stack. Start stack was 1500 in this one. We'll be Reg will be closed now, so we're looking at 6,347 people in the tournament. So 732 places are paid. Top prize of $215, which is a pretty decent first place prize for a free roll. And $1.10 is our min cash at 732nd. Wicked huge bunch of min caches from 241 to 732. So you know there's going to be a lot of people that go away with $1.10 today. That said, you didn't pay a thing to get into this because you played an astronomer free roll, and you got through with that. The astronomer free roll was free to enter. You got through with that. They gave you a ticket, and you used that ticket to enter this one, and you're being offered a free $1.10 if you make it through to the money round. So really, how can you go wrong with a situation like that? These weekly round twos play every weekend. The Sunday one runs at this time every day, and it is a mixture of games. It will be one of the non-HoldEm variants throughout. I'm sure it goes on some sort of rotation. I haven't quite figured out what that rotation is yet. It seems to be a random one every week, but it's always an interesting, unusual game on Sundays. Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, there is always a weekly round 2 HoldEm tournament. So if HoldEm is your thing and you're just playing the off games in the astronomers to learn, then when you win your ticket, jump in the HoldEm and try to win your money in the HoldEm, if that's where you feel your edge is. So yeah, it gives you both options. You're going to have HoldEm. You're going to have a chance to play for money in the other games if you want as well with the weekly round 2. So I think it's one of the best ways to learn how to play the different HoldEm games in tournament format on Stars, frankly. It's just a great way to go. And this one, like I said, it's a free $1.10 if you make it through to the money round. How can anybody say no to a free $1.10? So we're not in too bad a shape here with our 84. It's pretty nice. We're hoping that we pull a club, of course. A low club would be awesome. 10 of clubs isn't terrible. It gives us a 10-8. Dag is padding, so I think we want to see what his betting situation is like. I think we pretty much have to... What did Vov? Vov padded as well. 10-8 is not the strongest Badugi in the world, but I still think we have to call here and just see what everybody else is playing. Yeah, I was behind both of them at that point, so I should probably know better than that. Alrighty, so we're on a 98, 987 now. This is actually a pretty weak hand because none of our cards are terribly strong. We're really, in many ways, hoping to draw out in a lower club, diamond, or spade as well so that our hand starts to improve from that perspective. So we've drawn into a 4-card Badugi, which is a 9875. Not the greatest one, obviously, as we've been seeing. Sanity Jimmy is already padding at the beginning of the first round here, and he's checking. So we've got to wonder what sort of hand that is. I'm going to think that that's a high natural Badugi that he was dealt. Something like a king or a queen or a jack, maybe. We're probably ahead of that sort of action, unless he has checked. This is the round that will really determine the strength of his hand, because if he checks again, we can presume it's a fairly weak Badugi, 4-card Badugi. If he now bets in the next round, then we know that he feels pretty confident in his, or we think that he feels pretty confident in his Badugi. Because he's just seen us pat behind him, so he knows that we're patting. So, if he's got a weak one, he knows he's not in a great position. If he's got a super strong one, so the check, the insta check is a bit interesting. I'm I'm going to throw money in this pot and see how he responds to it, because I'm fairly confident with my 98, and he could easily have been padding with this. Yeah, see, that tells me he had a king or a queen or something like that, and was totally not happy to play against somebody else who was padding. That's what I get out of his behavior there. Alrighty, we take a pretty nice pot down there. Not a huge pot, but not a bad one at all either. 1,640 chips total now. That puts us in 2,300th spot out of the 5,600 odd people remaining in the tournament. This is really the sort of hand that you can't even really draw anything into to make it a reasonable hand to play with. So you really just, your only solution there is just to get rid of the cards pre-draw and just watch everybody else play. Have a break, go get a coffee while they finish their hand, and come back and try your next hand out. Because there's just really no value in that sort of situation. So it looks like Santy Jimmy's a lot happier with his pad hand this time around than he was last time around. Wow, if he was happy with his Jack 9 this time around, one wonders how bad the one that he was unhappy with last time around was. Alrighty, technically I could draw my king here to a 3-card Badugi, draw my King of Hearts to a 3-card Badugi, but I'm drawing to a King 7, which is really just a pile of stinking dog poo as far as Badugis go. So not much point in doing anything with that, I don't think, other than folding it again and watching everybody else play. Santy Jimmy's in a tough spot in that hand because, like I've said before, you can't really draw it to a made Badugi hand. But you know that the Jack 9 is a weak Badugi hand. Now, he may have been playing it hyper aggressive in order to try to push somebody else off of a stronger but still relatively weak hand like a 10 or a 9. Like I've talked about before, I'm not thrilled about those hands usually when I get them. So maybe that was the answer to why he was going so crazy with the Jack 9. But that's really not a hand that you want to be capping the betting with in any sort of situation. So Santa Jimmy was unable to draw into a hand there by the look of things. Val Q padded. Now that doesn't always mean in this game that you've drawn into a great hand. You, like other draw games, you can use padding and you can use your draw patterns as a way of snowing the other people at the table. It's a fairly complex move, and it usually works better at a short-handed table in fixed limit Badugi than it does at a full table. But it can certainly work in the right situation. To basically pat down and bet aggressive, even when you don't have a super hand. It usually, I think, is most effective in the big blind when you're in the big blind. Because you're in the hand anyways, so you may as well try to win it. And if you're in the big blind with a hand that is just really hard to draw into. Hammer, good evening. Good to see you back. Good to see you back. I'm hoping, I don't know if you're going to be able to stay up late enough to play our 08 game or not. It's kind of at a bad time for you, I think. But hopefully looking forward to seeing you at the 08 game. So as I've said before, this is the weekly round 2. This is the tournament that you win a ticket to when you win one of the Astronomer free rolls. This week it is fixed limit Badugi. The Sunday noon Mountain Time game changes every week to a different game. There is a Saturday morning 8 a.m. weekly round 2 as well. That's always HoldEm. So if HoldEm is your thing, you can play that one. If the other games are your thing, you can play the one on Sunday afternoon, and it changes from week to week. I haven't quite figured out what the rotation is yet. I'm sure there's rotation of some sort, but it seems that the games on Sunday afternoon just kind of appear at random every week. Alrighty, so we just actually improved our 3-card dramatically. We went from a Jack 6 to a 6-4, and a 6-4 3-card is a pretty strong 3-card, so we're absolutely not going anywhere in this pot anymore. Had we not improved our Jack, we might not be continuing to that bet. But with the Jack, I think that we're definitely, or having improved the Jack and being able to toss this. So you got one more draw left to pull a diamond in. Vovik is padded, so Vovik is pretty happy with his hand. He's padded and he's betting out, so we can be pretty confident that Vovik is happy with his hand at this point. So we're looking. He's probably looking at something that is an 8 or lower, is my guess. So that's the only way that we're going to continue on this final betting round, is if we had drawn an 8 diamond or lower that played into our hand. Given this, we can't. Our 3-card can't ever compete against a hand that's padded twice, or rarely is it going to compete against that. And yeah, there you go. So 10. I'm actually surprised that he was playing something as weak as a 10-5 in that manner. Probably he's just trying to get people to fold out earlier, but that's dangerous because with a triple draw game, it's very likely to see people calling behind you when you're in early position that way. It's very likely to see people calling behind you and then drawing out on you by the end of the 3 draws. So it's definitely something to watch out for if you're sitting with something like a 10-5. I'm not sure you want to be quite that aggressive with it. Badugi is one of the games I play fairly regularly. I don't actually play money Badugi games very often, but I do play the free roll Badugis a lot whenever I can find them. And what time is the 08? The 08 is running at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, which is approximately 5.5 hours from now. So I think that's probably going to be something like 2:30 in the morning for your time, if I'm doing the math right. I was curious if you get much into the poker scene over in the UK, or the live poker scene over in the UK. One of the things I love when I'm there on work is there just seems to be a massive scene for poker. I love all the pub poker leagues that are going on there. I haven't gotten involved in any when I've been over there because I'm never there for long enough for it really to be worthwhile to play something like a pub poker league. Although it's always nice to have a night of poker. There needs to be something. There needs to be something coming from behind. I think for me to make it worthwhile. So if I'm not going to be, if I'm not going to be around long enough to play the sort of whole tournament series, then it doesn't really make much sense for me to go in and play. But nonetheless, I'm fascinated by looking at all of the pub poker leagues that seem to be over there, and how big it seems to be for that these days. So I'm curious if you're involved in any of that, or what casinos do you like to go to? I know that Nottingham is a place that I've played poker most over there, but I also played in Coventry a bit, and I played in London a bit as well. So just curious. Yeah, we qualified, or we got a ticket the last week. You don't actually have to qualify. Like, for example, to play this Badugi tournament, I didn't have to win a ticket in one of the Badugi free rolls. Any ticket that I win from any of the free rolls could qualify me um, for today's weekly round 2. So it's not like I had to win a Badugi ticket in order to get into today's Badugi. I could have won that ticket in any of the astronomer free rolls, and it still would have qualified me to come into today's Badugi game. So Santi Jimmy has come all in. Val Q has just bet out after discarding a single card. I don't think we need to be involved in this really. Our pot is our stack isn't that big, and we need to conserve chips a little bit. So I don't really think we need to be involved there. Needless to say, paired and especially trip cards in Badugi are a bad thing. In this case, the only real way to draw into this hand with any sort of value would be to literally draw 3 into one of my 3s. So I really think just folding out early is the way to go with that. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a bit late for you. Shame with that. We'll have to see if we can get her done in the afternoon next time or something. Well, my afternoon, so that it's more convenient for you to play, because I'd really love to be able to get you involved in some of these as well, Hammer. We've only got a 2 card here, but I think we're gonna play at least one draw and see how it goes, because the Ace 4 is obviously a nice 2 card. It allows us to draw into the nuts, with 4-3 deuce ace being the nuts, of course. So yeah, when you can draw into the nuts, you're always pretty happy. And we've actually drawn into the nuts. We obviously didn't get the 3 deuce, but we did get the 3 of clubs, which is the partial nut hand, and we've drawn a 9. So we're on a 94, which is the best 9 we can possibly be on. I think we're going to pat this. As I've said in the past, we can't profitably draw into a made Badugi usually, I don't think. So I think we're just going to grit our teeth and check call down. Well, no, when he checks to us, I think we're actually going to bet this. And now that we've patted and he's still drawing, and we're on the big bet round, he might just fold it out to us, and he's going to raise us. So I think that we're not going anywhere in this situation. It took him a while to decide whether he wanted to pat or not, which means he's not thrilled with his hand. So we're definitely patting here. The question is what we're doing if he checks to us, or what we're doing if he bets. I think we're definitely calling if he bets. Yes, I've got a small stack, but I don't really think that I can profitably fold a 94 very often. And yeah, 74. So, I mean, it's one of the dangers in that situation, because I can't really... I mean, I suppose when he raises me after the second draw, I might be able to profitably get rid of the hand there, thinking that he's got a better made hand at that point. But he could easily be doing that, hoping that I've got a weak 4 card that I'm not interested in, and he's still drawing to a strong 3 card, which, you know, and that can work quite often. So I don't know. I'll have to review that one and decide whether it's the whether it's the way to go. Well, yeah, and I mean, I like going to the casino too because it's like instant gratification with the prizes and so on. Whereas the pub poker league, I get the feeling that the prizes are kind of down the road at the end of the season when they tally everything up. But still, it's a nice concept to be able to just kind of go hang out on a Tuesday evening with a bunch of friends and play poker on a larger scale than you can usually do with a home game. Well, sadly, this might end up being a short stream for now, but we are going to be back later with the 08 and then, of course, with our Sunday Raz later tonight in honor of the British Sunday Roast Hammer. That's where the name for my Sunday Raz night came from. So we're getting in pretty desperate shape over here on the Badugi table. We've had a couple of unlucky situations where people have drawn out on us. It's one of those hands where we've got to break up a rainbow hand because two of the cards are matched. Last time we had this situation, it worked out great for us. It may not work out as well this time. We'll see. Like I said before, it's pretty much just a coin toss which one of the 8s you're going to throw away. I think we'll throw away the club this time, see what we get back. Should have thrown away the spade, although the queen of spades isn't something that we wanted to play with anyways, but for the record, the 86 for our 3-card Badugi at this point is not a very strong 3-card, so it's not something that we're super thrilled with. And we'd really like to improve our spade to something lower than a 6. Fairly, Well, that's, obviously the suit we were looking for, but again, we've paired. We started with an 8 of clubs. We tossed it, got a queen of spades. We tossed that. We got back an ace of clubs. So these draws are not going very well for us in this particular hand. We've actually had to throw away. We're going to have to throw away 2 rainbow hands. I'm going to keep the club this time and throw the heart just for kicks. Wouldn't have mattered either way. So and there was a 7-4 do and a 4-3 or sorry, a 3 deuce 1 3 cards. So I mean you can see how weak our 8-6 3 card was. We'll be folding this hand. Cool. Well, I hope you do manage to stay awake and jump in and play. It'll be a fun game for sure. And I'm going to stream from start to end, no matter where I finish. I'm going to keep streaming until we've declared a winner. Live poker's fun. You should give it a try. Hammer. It's a completely different dynamic than it is online, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a very social environment. It's not, or at least I've rarely experienced any sort of negative stuff at the table, um, and it's usually a pretty friendly, environment. And one of the cool things that I've found about the live poker scene over in the UK when I've been there for work is that, especially for the tournaments, you can play tournaments dirt cheap. I mean, you can find £20 to £40 tournaments pretty much any day of the week. At least in the places that I've been around, there's something happening most days tournament wise. That was true in Nottingham. It was true in Coventry. It was true in at the Empire in London when I was there. Um, and so you can play a tournament for a pretty small outlay of cash. Compared to here in Canada, I mean, $60 is probably the cheapest tournament that I see on a regular basis at all, and it's much more likely that it'd be somewhere in the $100 to $150 range for the sort of minimum buy-in that you're playing. So yes, aces are low in this game. So the best hand is 4-3 deuce ace, rainbow, of course. He's getting pretty desperate for us on the Badugi. Obviously nowhere near cashing. We've got to get a double up here. We've got to find a hand that's going to work for us. Before the end of before a very short period of time here. We've only got one or two more orbits to even make anything happen. We're not really going to make anything happen with that hand, though. Getting a run of pretty crappy cards over the past couple of hands. Always seems to happen when you're playing a short stack and you're trying to get your chips in to build a stack. You get hands that you just can't get your chips in with. I know there are spots in no limit games where you get your money in with any two, and mathematically it's the correct thing to do to get your money in with any two because of the fold equity you have and all that jazz. But remember, in a limit game, that fold equity goes out the window for the most part. People are going to call the sorts of bets that you have and try to draw out on you, especially if they've got a significantly bigger stack. I mean, somebody like Burger Pie or SM USA is very likely to want to try to draw out on me just to knock somebody out of the tournament and to gather all my chips. No, I haven't really witnessed any Helmuth-style blow-ups at the tables. I've seen a couple of people sort of win badly, if that makes sense. I rarely see people lose badly, oddly enough, at the table. People seem to take the losing pretty good. At the worst that I've seen is they just kind of get up and walk off in a huff kind of thing without, you know. But this being Canada, of course, everybody's a little bit more polite, I think, up here than elsewhere in the world, maybe. But even in the UK, I didn't really see people do that. What I have seen on occasion is people really kind of rubbing it in someone's face when they win a big pot against them, which is okay, I guess, but that can be a little annoying, I think. Yeah, usually when I go to the UK for work, I make a point of scheduling a week or two in advance or after the work that I need to do, and I usually spend the time in Nottingham because they have a great poker scene up there. That's where the Dust to Dawn is, and they've got 3 or 4 other decent poker rooms. Yeah, I desperately need a double up. You are right there, Hammer. It is sitting with 4 big blinds basically at this point, which is not a good place to be. And in no, not even that, 2 big blinds, and in a minute I'm going to be less than 1 big blind. So I need to be getting my chips in here ASAP and hope that things work out for me. It's really a shame that I've got the 2 aces here. You know, if one of these cards is a deuce or 3, I've got a really nice starting hand. As it is, I have to draw 2 into an ace-5, but I still think, given everything else, no, I think I can still find a better hand than that. The 2 aces are just make this really hard. I mean, I can draw obviously an ace and an 8 into the 5 ace, but I'm not sure that's going to be the best value for the tiny little stack of chips I have remaining. It sucks when we had a run of cards that we simply couldn't play, and now we've got ones that are tough decisions like that one. Hopefully we'll get one here that's just kind of an obvious, let's throw our chips in the middle. Wow, well, it's a natural Badugi, but of course it's pretty crappy natural Badugi, right? The Queen Jack. But we've just had our blinds go up as well, so at the next blind level we're basically dead, so I think I've got to do this one and hope nobody draws out on me. Yeah, it was a huge walk. Any walk is huge at this stage. So what do we get? 2 cards, 2 cards. I'm going to pat. I think I'm patting through on this, and we're just going to hold our breath and hope that we get through. And I think we're going to obviously put the rest of our money in the pot at the same time, and we're going to hope that nobody draws out on us. So they're 1 and 1. What can we do? This is not a hand I'm feeling great about, but I think it was there was too much value pre-draw. Yes, padding with Val Q. I'm in bad shape. I'm in bad shape. All I could do at this stage to try to win would be to draw my queen jack to the 4 ace and hope I got something lower. But it's hard to imagine that he's here with anything weaker than a queen jack at this point, which probably means that I'm dead. So I should draw anyways just to see what I get. But you know, potentially, I can't see him doing this with a king or a queen, given that he knows that I'm on my last legs and I'm going to be in the pot anyways. If I only drew one, I'm drawing to the jack, and I'm still not going to be in any better shape than I am now. So I think at the end of the day, I'm going to draw two and hope for the best. And I didn't obviously get the best. I'm going to see what he has anyways. We're going to see if that was a good decision. I'm sure it was a good decision. I'm sure he's better than a queen jack, which means I'm sure that once we see that, we have no choice. But yeah, exactly. I mean, we had no choice. Now, we were potentially drawing to a close to a nut hand. But, you know, it's hard to say. Obviously, knowing the queen jack is as weak as it is, we could have folded that pre and see if we get anything else. But we are 2 hands away from the big blind. And when the big blind gets to us, we're going to pay 150 out of our 420, I think, that we had there, which is going to leave us with 270. We're going to take another 75. We're going to have under 200 chips when we're through the big blinds, I think, or through the blinds, which means we pretty much had to play something in the next, and getting dealt a natural Badugi of any kind. And natural Badugis win a fair amount of the time. So I honestly think that was probably the only sort of choice that I had in that situation. You just go with it and hope it holds. All right. Alrighty, it was cool to have streamed this. I wish it would have gone on a little longer, but we'll go. I'll probably try to do something on this weekly round 2 Sunday afternoon most weeks. There are some games that I don't necessarily think I have value on, and I won't always have a ticket to play this, but right now I have a pretty big backlog of tickets, so I should be able to play on a fairly regular basis on this. And I think it'll be a good place to see a lot of the other games played for real cash. So the next time we are going to be online is going to be in 5 hours time at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will be on streaming our very own 08 tournament. Go to the PokerStars tournament lobby and search Elron. In that place, you'll find the tournament. When you register, use Elron66, ELRON 66 as the password, and it will let you in, and you can come play with us. And it will be streamed from start to end tonight. No matter where I finish, I will keep streaming and cover the rest of the tournament. We'll pick a table if there's more than one table, and then we'll follow it through to the final and all the way down to the winner of the tournament. Otherwise, it's good to have you around, and I hope you'll come back later on for the 08 tournament on Anything But HoldEm. Later.